Hello, guys. Hello.
Hi, sir.
How are you?
I'm good, and how are you?
Good. Excuse for joining the class a bit late today. Actually, not a bit, very late. Yeah. Sorry for joining the class very late today. There's a lot going on around. And another thing is I was trying to see how to balance up because we're a meeting at the same time. I'm supposed to have a class at the same time. You guys were apparently up to no good doing something, but yeah, I'm not gonna go into your details, but yeah. Um, and then I was asked to delay just by a couple of minutes, of which I hope you guys are done with whatever that you guys were doing. Um, and all the best with whatever that you guys were planning. Now on this note, today again it's a Friday, so I do not want to keep you guys for too long. So in terms of everything that we've been doing, I think on was it day before yesterday? Day before yesterday. Then we started that other database part there. So I want us to carry on from there. I want us to carry on from there. So now what I'm going to do is this. Just give me a minute. I need to fire up my visual code. But as I said, that we're not going to take too long today. So I'm just going to do this part of the code. And then from there, then you guys can go and enjoy your weekend. So anyway, besides that, formalities, are you guys okay? Are you guys good? Besides, are you guys okay? I'm asking.
I'm not okay, sir.
What's wrong?
I'm nervous. I think this project has got me so anxious. I
It's a
don't
lot
know.
of.
No, I don't know. I'm so, if I'm being honest, like
Mhm.
academically, I'm stressed out.
Yeah.
But I can't, or we have to do this. But really, I'm anxious. I don't know.
Mhm. No, I understand. I understand.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure you're not the only one. Um, Shelly, hi. Because also Shelly also had the same problem. Shelly, hi. Don't ignore me. Okay, cool. Anyway, now I understand it's a little your work is a little bit more like your items are a little bit like it's a bit overwhelming, but at the end of the day, it's something that needs to be done. So as much as it's a lot of work, but it needs to be done, and you guys still have a little bit of time to go through the items that you need to do. And as I said, I'm available, but as long as you don't call me at ridiculous times, like at night and stuff, but I'm available to assist where I can, and provided that you are doing something, and then I can see that you are working from somewhere, and then you can ask a question, then I'll be able to assist. What I cannot assist is when you come on a clean slate and then there's nothing, and then you want to help over something, then that becomes a little bit of a challenge. But yeah, so far, um, I think I have assisted one or two people. Yeah. And then for those that need help, and then for those of you that know for those of you that know what you're doing, then that is even awesome. So just keep on doing whatever that you're doing, and hopefully you're just going to create something at the end, because like remember we said that we're not looking for something like total, excuse me, mind blowing, but if you can make something mind blowing, even awesome. But if just create something functional. It shouldn't be complicated, but it should be functional, something for your level. And then if ever there is any complex or complicated program that you want to create, that can be something that you can do in your own time, in your own timeline, because there you can even take up to 6 months to design your own program. Now, there are some apps that I started working on from around 6 years back that I'm still busy even up to now. I'm still busy up to now, still busy working on them because I have that liberty, I have that time for me just to, keep on adding certain features and trying to make the app as nice as I want it to be. And then when I'm ready, I release those items there. So, so I'm saying like if it's complicated, just wait until you've got a little bit more knowledge, you've got a little bit more experience, then you can work on it. But for now, just try to work with something that you can apply yourself to, something that isn't complicated. You can start with a module that has got maybe 2 or 3 what you call 2 or 3 user interfaces, and then from there, and then it just does some basic calculations and or just displaying of information, and then can read the database and things like that. But it shouldn't be very complicated. It should just be something that is easy to make and easy to design. So if there's no further questions from your guys' side, and then I'll proceed with this part here.
Afternoon, sir.
How's it going, Matome? Yes, Matome, how's it going?
It's going well. My English is the design because I try to. Oh, at first, what I was thinking, I thought I'll have more content and more information, and when I did that, it wasn't looking nice. So the first page of my website is more like a form of when you're filling a form.
Oh, okay.
Then the second page, that's the issue. I'm not sure if I can just add content in there to make an example or motivation. I'm not sure what I can add because my information is too short.
Your information is too short.
Yeah, my content, I mean.
Oh, okay. There isn't much content. That's what you're saying. You don't have a lot of content.
Yes. The thing is, I'm not sure whether I should add more or what's the issue.
But
on Monday, can I show you like everything?
You wanna come through here?
Maybe I can take pictures if it is possible.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, so last week I left somewhere here. So I left somewhere here last week. So technically, if I can just say this here is not really much of a need, but yeah, last week I left somewhere here. So we're just joining some aspects there. We just had to, get the require that with requiring express there. Then you had a body parser. The body parser is simple for it's like a send of information. Then you also need MySQL there for us to import the libraries. So this is basically for importing the libraries. So which means the next aspect here, what we need to do is now we need to create a database connection. I hope I still remember the name of the database because I think I forgot the name of the database. But yeah, now we need to create the database connection. For us, let me write this as a comment here and then say create a database connection. So creating the database connection here. Now I'm going to need const of DB, for short for our database there, which is equals to MySQL SQL dot create connection, because we are creating a connection here. This code is always the same, as like with most of the code that you actually do have. The code is always the same. So now the first thing that we need inside this create connection, inside this connector here, the first thing that we need is we need the host. So the host here, according to the when we designed last time there, we called our host. We say that the host of our database is going to be localhost. I'm pretty sure you guys saw me writing that. So that is the host for the database there. And comma, next thing I need the user. So the user of the database is, okay, my computer just decides to freeze now. So the user of the database is that user that we actually had created. Or you can use your normal user, the main user of the database. So I'll call this one root, because that is the original user that we have. And then the password of this particular database, the password, I'm going to write a password, something like this. I think that was the password. Then from there, and then database. Then this is the name of the database, and I think we called it payroll DB. That is the name of the database that we had. See that? And then from there, we're done with our database. We've created our database connection. We've created a database connection. Now, it's like it's basic JavaScript code, but now the only difference is, like, remember, this is used to perform certain actions there. So in this case here, we're simply creating a database. Now, after creating this particular database, the database connection, now we need to connect to the database. Now we need to connect to that particular database. So now for us to connect to that database, to that database there, now we're going to use DB, because this DB is a database connection that we created. So now we need to call, okay, let me write a comment here. Now connect to the MySQL database. And then there, now I'll say db dot connect, because now I'm connecting. And then now inside the connector, then I'm supposed to be able to handle an error. So that's what we're simply doing there. What I'm simply saying here is basically handle that particular error. Whatever error that you are going to face, handle it. Be able to hold it. That's what you're simply saying there. So forward. So I'm forwarding something, and then when I'm forwarding there, I'm going to open a bracket so that I can write some, some functions inside, some methods, I mean, inside, because this is basically a function. The function is the DB connect, and then inside there's supposed to be a method. But the method is if what happens is an error. Saying there that you're supposed to catch errors there. So we're saying that if there is an error, uh, there, and then say something. Now console dot error, and then say that there was an error connecting to that database. There's an error connecting to the database. And then from there, now we need to see something. We need to know what type of an error that error is. So plus, because we need to know if ever there is an error, we need to know what that error is. Otherwise, we can do something else. Hence, I'm going to call the else statement. So remember what else means. Else simple means that otherwise, if there is no error, do something and then show also a message. So I'm just going to copy this part here, and then I'm going to paste it on here. And instead of saying this stuff here, I'll delete this. And then inside also connected. That's what we're simple saying there. Here we're simple telling them that check. When the database, when you're connecting to the database for an error, if there is an error, catch that error and display a message that says there was an error connecting to the database, and then show me what the error is. Otherwise, if there's no error, which means you literally have connected to that database. Therefore, now you can say, okay, cool. I've connected to a database, connected to the database. They show that message there. This one here is not an error. This one here is a log. And it's a log here. So now, then the next up here now is to start creating our different processes there. So of which now already notice that we had the database that we had, and then there wasn't much that we actually wrote. We just created a database table that didn't have information, so it was technically blank, the particular database that we had. So let me do this. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna now just put a bunch of items there. So one of the first things that I need to do is write code to do something. I want to write code to to run the CRUD processes. CRUD, I'm pretty sure you guys still remember that. Remember what CRUD stands for? CRUD stands for create, read, update, and delete. So these are the processes that will be carrying in our database there. So we're going to create, read, update, and delete. So which means the first part here, the first order of business is to create. So let's create the first thing. So of which here, the only thing that we can do is to create a person, isn't it? Which is an employee there. So create an employee. So we want to create that particular employee there. So now how then do we create the employee? So for us to create the employee here, what you simply have to do is to router dot post, because we're posting there. And then now what are we doing here? So inside here, I want us to save information in a folder called employees. See that? And then from there, what we do is now we want to, you know, like basically want to how can I'm trying to find a way to, you know, to explain it in more like layman terms. Ne? So now, what we're simply doing here is we're querying into the database because you want to write into that particular database. That is what we're simply doing there. So now this post here is basically an implementation endpoint, right? Like we call it an endpoint because remember when we spoke about endpoints, we say that this is where your program always goes back to, isn't it? So now the post, every time whenever you are writing that dot post, you always know that this is basically going back, it's implementing the endpoint. I don't know if I'm making sense. So now in this implementation here, then we're going to require and we're going to forward this also. We're going to forward that also. And then from there, now there are certain aspects that you want to do. So the first thing that you need to do is we need to create a constant of, now remember when you are creating, we need a name, we need the time in, I hope this is correct, or what is the right time in? So let me just check here under the employee list or employee form. How do you write? Oh, yeah, it's just one way, it's like that. So I'm just going to have to write it like that. Time in with no space. So, okay, I'm here. Time in. And then we also need that time out. And these two are a requirement to create the body or the person in this case that you are creating them. So now we're creating that person there. That is called or the object. We're creating an object called employee, and then this particular object has got certain properties or certain characteristics. They've got a name, they've got time in, and they've got time out, and these are all required for this person to be there, for this person to operate. So now from there, now what I need to do is now we need to write SQL code now to insert into the database because we are creating the person. Once we create the person, now we need to be able to insert into the database that information that we have. So that is what we're doing now. Const SQL, which is equals to, and then now we write the code in or insert insert into, because you always insert into the database. So now inserting into the employees table. Well, this is employees. That's the name of the table, not employee. Employees table. Now in the employees table, what are we inserting? Now we need to insert. We need to insert a bunch of things. We need to insert the name. We need to insert the time in. We also need to be able to insert the time out of that. And then now what exactly are we inserting? We're inserting certain values. So now what are the values that we want to insert? So now that here tends to differ. Tends to differ now. Because like remember here, we are dealing with a bunch of people, right? So if you're dealing with a bunch of people, now we do not know what exactly that you are inserting or the names of the values that you're inserting, because we want the users to be able to do that, because we do not want to hard code. Otherwise, if we wanted to hard code, we're simply going to type the names like what we've been doing throughout. But here now, what I was simply going to do is I was simply going to put placeholders. So placeholders. So these are the placeholders that you're actually making use of for us to be able to actually create those values there, or the people that you are creating, or the employee this in this case here. Now after do that, so which means we need to query into it. That is the next thing. So now db.query, because we are querying into the database. Now db.query, query is supposed to do something. I am writing using a language called SQL. This one we are doing there. So now what this simple means that db.query is a function that is used to execute the SQL query. That is what symbol does there. It is executing the SQL. That's why I say db.query and then SQL, and then we're telling it that execute means this particular statement executed in a language called SQL. And what exactly that you're executing? The information that we have. So let me just copy that information instead of typing it each and every time. Like that. And then the square bracket is still, open. And then from there, and then we need to also check place. We need to catch errors. It's one of the most important items there. We always need to catch errors, because especially if you're dealing with a database, if you don't catch errors early, then it's going to be a problem later for you. So you always need to catch these errors while it's very, very, very early. So after catching the errors, so now how do we catch the errors? We always call the same code, always. Remember, I'm simply going to copy that code here. See, because it's always the same code for catching errors. So now, if there's an error, do something. If there's an error, console dot, then error, instead of creating the database here. So now we say connecting to the database here. So now we have to error creating, because we're creating an employee. Then and then from there, now I need to show the status as dot status. And then now 500, because this is the point. I'm pretty sure if you go that 500 there, that is status. Like the statuses are different. Like the status at 500 mostly it basically tends to point to an error, and then 200 usually tends to point to a success. That is what like you meet that a lot, because that's what usually these 200s and 500s, that's what they. That's what the simple mean there. So now, on this note now, we're still creating our employee there. So we say that the state there is basically we need to send that message. So dot send, because we want to send a certain message so that it can be recorded also in the error logs. So then we say error. Creating employee. So let me just copy this here. Creating employee, and then from there, now we need to look at the other side. Else, now what happens? Now what happens? So instead of console logging, we do not console log because we're using a status send. So that's what we're going to do there. That, and then I'm still going to change that. Now instead of using 200, now you're using 201. Yeah. Send. But now this time when you are sending, you want to report this to your JSON file, because you want all the errors to be recorded somewhere. All these errors, they have to be recorded somewhere. So in this case here, I want to send a message, and then the message is simply going to be a message that has been sent. So we have sent that message there. And then from here, what I'm gonna do is let me do this. This. And technically, you're done. See, you're done. And then if you want to read from the employees, let me show you something. Let me say read from the database. And the first one was create. The second one is read from database. So if you want to read from the database, it's basically the same. It's the same code. So I'm just going to copy this code. That was what you call creating from a database. Now I'm going to paste, which is basically reading from the database. The only difference is now instead of going through, because I don't when I'm creating, I need to go through the constant that can call out everything that I'm creating. But here in this case, I'm not creating, so I don't need this, because I'm simple. I want to read, I want to view the stuff that is actually saved on the database there. So now, then my SQL code is going to change because I'm not inserting now. Now I want to read. So if I want to read, I have to tell it that I want to read from the database. And then how do you tell it? We always select, and then you can write the name of the database table, but select star, see that? And then from employees, which is the table there that you are working with. So now you're inserting star from employees. What you're simply saying that select all the employees so that I can see the data that is actually saved under these employees there. And then from there, now we can check here, and then query tb.query SQL. And then now instead of having all this, now we do not need this stuff because okay, now we do not need all this stuff because we're not creating. So now we're just gonna error and show the result of the error. Same applies the code. If the error is that, and then show. Then so here I'm gonna say error maybe fetching. And also here, just gonna change this. And then from there inside here, and then I want to display the result. And to display, oh, I don't need to have that because this is a genuine function. You see that? I've literally read from the database. Same piece of code. The only difference there is the SQL line. So even for deleting an employee, still the same. So show you. This was reading. Now, if I want to update, it's going to be basically the same. Deleting, almost the same, but basically. So now let's update. So I'm super going to do the same thing. I'm pasted the same code from last time. You notice there, I'm going to leave this the way it is because here I'm updating, so which means I still need the name, the time in, and the time out. Then now the only thing that I need to do is, because now when I'm identifying these people that I want to update, I have to make use of something. So I'm going to make use of the employee ID for me to be able to identify them, then which is a requirement. Require by required by parameters. Okay, and then from there, now remember this here is an update, so we always update. So I'm going to update here. So highlight this and then update. So that I can make it different. Update. So we're updating employees. So now when we're updating these employees, now there's certain information that we need to change. That is what updating is. So now you're going to set the name as something. And then the time in going to be something. Then the time out also is equals to nothing, because as I said that we want to capture this information from the what you call this, we want to capture it from when the employee comes in, where the ID is equal to, let's say, no, let's see. So, and then from there, now the rest of the code is simply going to be the same. The rest of the code is simply going to be the same. But now, because like remember when you created, you didn't create an ID, an employee ID, but now we're creating an employee ID. That is what we have, the employee ID, which is a required paradigm. So the parameter, I mean, it's required, it has to be there. That's why there's req.params. So now for us to update, so I'm going to update the employees there and stuff. And then from there, after updating the employees, and then I'm going to run the code there, timeout. And then I've got another parameter here. And then the parameter is going to be employee ID. So the rest of the code is basically the same. So error creating, now error updating. And then this one, So when we're updating there, so the only thing that we need to do is we can show the message, oh, error updating, employee successfully updated. Successfully updated, right? And then yeah, I think that's it. You see, so same code, just a few differences, especially when it comes to the SQL there. That is the same thing. Even for deleting, it's going to be exactly the same. So let me do that, the deleting, and then I think from here I'll be out of your way because this is the last aspect of group principles when it comes to databases. So now the deleting part, because remember every time when you delete, we going to need obviously the ID number, because the employee ID, because this is how we identify records in a database. The other stuff we don't need because we're not updating. We do not need the names and stuff because we're not updating, but we need to know how to identify. And then from there, now for us to delete here, we have to delete from employees. Where, see, ID number is equals to, we do not know what ID number that you want to work with at this particular time. And then from there, after that, and then SQL query, and then now we need to have just the employee ID. We do not need these other things there, because that is what we're going to be making use for us to look for the results that we're looking for. And then error in deleting. And then this also error in deleting. And employee successfully deleted. Then that's it. You're done. You have performed all the group principles there. And then, which means the next thing that you need to do is to module dot export, is to export our particular module, and then we're exporting them to the router. And that's it. See that? So here, what we simply did is we simply connected. That's what we simply did. We connected our database that we have, then we connected into this um, item that you just created, the what you call the connection, the server connection. So yeah, that's it. So if you see, the code is basically the same, just code that keeps on repeating, hence the reason why I just to copy and paste them. So do you guys have any questions regarding this? Hello guys, do you have any questions or we're cool now? We can stop here for today and then we'll continue on Monday and then we'll see um from there if you guys actually get this. Wesley, what's up, bro?
Good day, Mr. Chichi.
How's it going, brother?
It's going great. It's going great, but I have a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, what's up?
So you remember that business website thingy?
Yeah.
So my like, does it strictly has to be about crutches
Yeah.
and what?
Does it strictly have to be?
About a crutch?
Oh no, no.
Because yesterday, like
Yeah.
my neighbor told me that he's selling shoes. So like, I was thinking of making a website for that business. You did.
I hear you, bro.
It's gonna be fine. It's not gonna be an issue.
Nah, nah, it's fine.
Oh, I thank you for you. The crash thing is too much work, and my system crashed.
Oh, is it? Did you
My
fix it?
system crashed while I was busy, so I have to start over.
Yo, that's bad. That's hard, boy.
But the documentation. When are you looking for it? Cause I have to also change it.
The documentation, if I can have it next week, because Mr. Assembly is waiting for that.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then
he's
in
waiting.
the app, the kin is it the registration app or the website app that has to
Oh,
have a database? I'm
uh,
confused there. See.
it's a no. If your website can make use of a database, then you don't need to go through, to go through this. Because for me, what I just want to see is you making use of JavaScript, HTML, CSS, whichever version of CSS, whichever version of JavaScript, whichever version of HTML that you're going to use. I'm
So
fine.
as long
As long as
as
you
long
make
as it
use of,
has those three components, then it's fine.
as long as you have those three components and your JavaScript can communicate with a database, then which means I'm good.
Cause to be honest, like the past 3 weeks, I was on a mental shutdown. I
Yeah.
couldn't think. Next. With like, you see this coding of yours with the back end coding. I.
It's JavaScript.
Ah,
But the thing is about this back end thing, one thing is the code is always the same. It doesn't change.
it
It just
doesn't
change.
change. It's not like HTML next.
No, it's not like even the basic JavaScript. The code doesn't change. This code is constant, like it's always the same.
Cause I have a friend. He says he's like a developer but works with back end. That guy.
Wow.
His index
Yeah,
page. Hell, man, yeah. It's too much.
it's too much.
I you'll definitely go on a mental shutdown straight. It is too much.
Yeah. And if I would tell you, one thing about backend is not simple. Backend is a bit. That's why like it's easier for you to deal with the front end, and then from
Yes.
there, and then you can deal with the back end.
Example. Let me just make an example with the backend. Look at the left side of your index
Yeah,
page. The
yeah,
APSS. I mean, it's too much. Yeah.
I
So,
know.
so you saying all you wanna see on that website is the front end, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Jet, that's it.
Like the front end, basically. That's what I'm mostly interested in. But also at the same time, that's what I'm saying. You should be able to, you know, to make your website. Like for instance, let's say if you have a website and then it makes use of a form, that form there that you have is supposed to be able to save data into the database.
Yes, so this is what I'm thinking about. So this website, ne,
Mhm.
it's gonna be a store, basically an e-commerce website, whereby you're
Let's
gonna,
make it a database.
yes, it's definitely gonna have a database. Because when you send me an email, then we can transact some things, you see. So it's
Yeah,
definitely gonna have a database.
yeah. And then
Yes,
because of that, you're gonna have APIs. APIs, they're written in JavaScript. So
just thinking of the documentation part, yo, it stressed me more. You, I have to start to. Things are
man,
bad now. Things are bad straight. Yo,
no, you'll be right, man. You'll be fine.
I'm also shall cope. I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, ne.
sure, bro.
Sure.
Okay, guys. So if there's no further questions, and then I think we can stop here today, and then from there, and then we'll continue on Monday just to see what people have done and whatever that is left. But you see that the basic principles or the basic underlying measure here is as long as you can make use of JavaScript, CSS, and HTML, you are fine. Because it's like I'm always talking about the basics. It's always going back to the basics and you build from the basics going up. That is how you usually work. And that is the only way you can actually learn something. So always start from the basics. So yeah, on this note here, I think we can close the session for today. Um, because Miss A advised me to make you guys knock off a little bit early on Fridays. So have a good day and enjoy your day, guys. We'll talk on Monday. Cheers.
Bye, sir. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Pascalina.